Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Milo, and this is an addiction I can't break. I'm a very determined person. Yeah, once I get onto something, like I won't stop until it's completed and completed to the best of my abilities. So yeah, I would say I have a very strong work ethic and just like, you know, go-getter attitude about things. Nothing will bring me down unless, you'd have to fucking kill me, I guess. I don't know, but if I get onto something, like it's getting done. I was born to a drug addicted mother. So she left when I was 5, and then it was just my dad and then my, at that point, new stepmom, Connie. But yeah, I've always just been very independent. And actually how dad is he's just an independent person. So I've kind of taken on that role myself, gotten that from him. So yeah, I mean, when I was 12 years old, I got a job selling the newspaper. And at that point, like, never asked my dad for money again, and was just like completely kind of felt like on my own, at that point. So yeah, that's a big defining moment for me. So like started working at 12 years old, and then from that point always had a job, always was employed. So trying to make things happen on my own, essentially. After high school, I didn't have a plan. In high school, I was just, all over the place, partying, didn't really have any focus. But my dad was a Marine, so, when I was about 17, he kind of started putting it in my head that I should, maybe think about the military. And if I'm gonna go in the military, then it better be the Marine Corps, according to his words. So, which is true, I totally agree with now. But yeah, so my dad actually kind of really pushed me towards the Marine Corps. And then, yeah, at that point, I joined right when I was 18, right when I graduated high school, I joined, and then, that was that. So I was an avionics technician, so I worked on the electronics in aircrafts. I was stationed in San Diego, deployed twice, both on ships, Marine Expeditionary Units, and served 5 years in the Marine Corps, got out as a sergeant, honorably discharged and everything. So yeah, it was a really good experience. I actually almost stayed in, but I actually left it up to one deciding factor. I applied to Columbia University in New York the year prior to getting out. I'd only applied to that one school, so that was a deciding factor. If I got into Columbia, then I would get out of the Marine Corps and do that. If I didn't get in, I would just stay in. And I was looking at like maybe going drill instructor or go officer. But I was like planning what I would do if I would stay in, because I actually didn't even think I would get into Columbia, to be honest with you. Like it was kind of like a shot in the dark kind of thing. But yeah, I applied a year before I got out of the Marine Corps, and I got an acceptance letter somehow, some way. So yeah, in the Marine Corps, I was going to college. So I was taking college classes that ended up transferring when I went to Columbia. But my main focus in the Marine Corps was just like, getting my degree, because if I did more than 5 years, I was for sure in my head gonna go officer. So I needed to have my degree no matter what. It was just a matter of, do I get out of the Marine Corps and get my degree, or do I stay in the Marine Corps, get my degree, and then stay in as an officer? So Columbia brought me into a pretty deep depression, because I was at the time comparing myself to the people around me, and I didn't have the same educational upbringing as the people around me. Like everyone that was going to Columbia were like, valedictorian, top of their class, like went to the best schools, and like I just somehow like came through the back door with the Marine Corps, So like everyone was very smart, and like how they spoke and everything. So I was always like kind of comparing myself to the people around me, and it put me in just like got me in my head. I was like super deep in my head and just went into a deep depression. Like, would literally just go to school, come home, like lock my door and just like do homework and nothing else. And but in my head, I was like not happy either. Like I was like struggling to like get these thoughts out of my head, Yeah, that was one main thing. And then two, like going into the professional world, I learned a lot. Like got an internship at a real estate company, and then going and went with one of the guys from that company to do a startup. So I learned a lot from a professional standpoint. And either way, actually, and even that too was stressful. So either on both ends, like the professional side, like essentially outside of school, and then when I was in school, I was like struggling mentally. I was super stressed and just like completely in my head about everything. And trying to get through all of that stress, like I was trying to take different things and do different things to like quiet my mind, just getting into bad habits essentially. And so Yeah, but there was a point though when I started meditating, and honestly, from that point, like things really started to change for me. So what changed was I just found out about Headspace, and so then on the subways every day, like on my way to like my internship in the summer, I was just doing Headspace, so meditating. But while I was doing that, I really started to realize like how quiet my mind started to get, and so I kind of went down a rabbit hole of like other meditation practices, looking at different gurus, and was just meditating a lot and really started to see the benefits. I mean, for a period there, I was meditating for hours every day. I would just go to Central Park at night, and I would literally like sit on a bench or sit on even like a rock or in the grass or something and just meditate for hours, and like could just really see the changes that were happening like internally for me. My emotions and my state of mind were all completely changing, and all it was just me meditating, just me quieting my mind and getting out of my own head. Well, it was more of a gradual process, but I just started to see that I had more space in my head to like think clearly about other things and like take on other projects, that I could finally, just do more than feeling like I'm just trying to get by with like, with schools, like I was just trying to get by, and like even with the work, like you're just trying to get by. But now I felt like, oh, I can actually start like pursuing like a passion, I could actually start pursuing things. And then actually cryptocurrency came about in my life. So in 2017, there was a huge run up with cryptocurrency, going to, Bitcoin going to 20,000 and crashing down. So like it was all in the news. So I heard about cryptocurrency that way, just seeing it in the news. And, I wanted to just kind of dig deeper into it. Like what is crypto? What is Bitcoin? That kind of thing. So yeah, from that point, my addictive personality, I just like dug deep and tried to learn everything I could about crypto, Bitcoin, all the different cryptocurrencies, and then got into trading stocks, just, finance in general. I just started like going down a rabbit hole. So I started really trading crypto and trading in general in 2017, so a year prior to me graduating. So I was learning all this while I was still in school, but I had a passion for it, so I was really getting into it, and it wasn't something that I was just having to do, but something I wanted to do. So yeah, I graduate Columbia 2018. We stay in New York for a year, thinking that we're actually going to just stay there, but towards the end of 2018, we start kind of thinking maybe we should, move to the West Coast. Like, I lived in San Diego in the military. Marky would always visit there, and she loved San Diego. So why not move? Let's go somewhere where there's a beach. So yeah, we're gonna move to San Diego. But Marky's dad said, "Hey, do you want to make a pit stop in Detroit and help me with my rental properties?" So we're like, yeah, we're driving a U-Haul. So we're like, yeah, we'll just drive the U-Haul to Detroit, make a pit stop, and then keep heading west. Got to Detroit. We're there for a few months. It's kind of two things. One, we just saw like the property market, like how cheap you can buy properties for, and the potential in the real estate market there. And two, actually COVID happened, just within like 6 months of us being in Detroit. So as we're kind of like teetering back and forth of like, should we stay in Detroit and like, try to buy a property here? Or should we keep going west? COVID hit. And then that was like a sealed deal, like done deal. We're staying in Detroit. So at that point, once we knew we're going to stay in Detroit, we're like, all right, let's buy a place, let's like get in the real estate market here. So yeah, we bought a duplex, a fixer upper that we're still working on right now. It's a complete gut job. So like all new electrical, all new plumbing, like all the plaster walls coming down, putting up drywall, like complete gut job. Once we finish, we're going to Airbnb it. And then I personally would like to keep buying properties in Detroit, because you can still buy properties for so cheap and rent them out and make good money doing that. So it's like an undervalued market. Yeah, my upbringing, just like I was saying before, as far as like being very independent and like just having to figure things out on my own, getting a job at a young age, like I just always had to make shit happen, always had to make shit happen. Yeah, I don't know. So my biggest doubts come from situations where I'm not prepared. Whereas when I get into something and become addicted to something or passionate about something, the doubts aren't there, because I'm prepared. I'm doing everything that I feel like I need to succeed. But if it's something if I'm not prepared, then I do have doubts that creep in for sure, and they can grab you. I would say the biggest doubt I've had is at Columbia, struggling, just feeling like I didn't belong there, and everyone else, knew what was going on and knew what they had to do, and I felt like I kind of was just like behind in the pack essentially. So I had the big doubt, my doubts at Columbia, but since meditating, when doubts come in, I quickly feel like they kind of get pushed right back out. Moving to Detroit, getting into crypto, even, trying to do these long runs, people are doubting, can you do this? Are you sure you can do this? And, it comes in and it wants to kind of fester and immediately gets pushed away. Like, no, of course I can do this, So the life experiences I've had so far has created an environment for me to where, I don't doubt that much, because I had doubts maybe in the Marine Corps and then succeeded, and then had doubts at Columbia and then succeeded, and then had doubts about crypto and real estate and succeeded. So I feel like at this point, if I just trust in myself and I'm confident and believe in what I'm doing, then there should be no reason for doubts, My addictive personality has been a mainstay throughout my whole life. When I was younger, it wasn't necessarily the best thing for me, or like when I was struggling at Columbia, even, it wasn't even the best thing for me. But I've figured out a way how to hone it in and use it to my advantage, rather than like be a victim of my addiction. What I found that happens in my life, and I don't even do this on purpose, but what I've found is I'll get into something for like 2-3 years and just try to master it, become a master at it. And then once I get to that point, for me, how I feel, then I kind of let it go and it stays in my life, but I don't need to put as much focus on it. So once that happens, it opens up space for me to be able to bring something else and get, go 0 to 100 on that. So my new addiction now is running. So the last 6 to 8 months, I've just been running constantly. Trained for a marathon and did a marathon in October. Now I'm training for a 50-mile race. So again, I just can't get enough of running. So next is gonna be, now it's 50, I'll probably try to do 100, and I'll just see how far I can take it. Or how far I want to take it, until I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm good, and time to bring in space for something else.